Hi there. My name's Chinnarat, and I am an Evernote Business Certified Consultant. And many of you have been asking for more details around my implementation, and a lot of you know what I've been building. And previously, I had shared the concept of an Evernote coordinator. I'll put a link to the video below. And over the past, I would say 6 months, things have simplified quite a bit. So I'm really happy to share that what was I think must have been a 30 to 40 minute video, can probably get boiled down into about, we're going to shoot for maybe 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes right now. So um, I think we should just dive right in. So um, if you go to compass.chinner.com, you'll actually see a top level organizing structure. A lot of what I do is very top down. I use Evernote as a strategic planner. Evernote's really great at capturing a lot of the details, clipping web articles and digitizing pieces of paper and things like that. And I can be happy to share more videos on that. If you'd like to learn the basics of Evernote, let me know. And what you're going to see is more of a top-down view, and what you're seeing here are each one technically represents a note in Evernote, but they're big containers. And in this case, I've been influenced by Stephen Covey, and in many ways this is a tribute to Stephen Covey. And I decided to run with 7 roles in my life that really speak to, or 7 roles that I actually took the time to actually model. So I'm going to go pretty quickly through these concepts, but if you have questions, please comment below. But what you see is, if I go ahead and click on perhaps the Evernote Business Certified Consultant, for example, you'll see that it just drills down into the note. And I won't get into details right now, but this happens to be what they call a personal business model, which basically captures the essence of this role in the form of a business model. It's not so much, it's the same framework as you would create a business model for organization, but this is for an individual. So if you would like to learn more about building your own personal business models, you can also let me know, and I can put a link to a cheat sheet below. And what I'm using this note is really simple. I'm just putting kind of key notes. I use a very link-heavy Evernote implementation. I use search quite a bit, but I heavily link my notes together, and that allows me to navigate my system, which I'll go ahead and demo shortly. So this one's a very simple one. I have a few portfolio items. I have perhaps a key outcome, and we'll see how this all ties together with GTD, especially for you getting things done fans. So let's go ahead and go back to the previous view. And so what you're going to see are distinct roles here, like a production liaison, a business development engineer. These are hats that I'm wearing, that I'm trying on, and nothing set in stone. It's all an exploration. It's something that I started to run with in the beginning of 2015, and in the spirit of a Franklin-Covey Compass, which is covered in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, if you're familiar with the work. It's also complemented by the 7th habit, which is called sharpening the saw. And I jumped right to the 7th habit because I think it's the most important. And if you are more interested in learning more about Stephen Covey and the 7 habits, I highly recommend reading the book. And again, feel free to ask questions, and I can point you to references. But the essence of this one is, I had a model around developing a niche around wellness. That was one of the first things that I noticed was really important to me when I became certified as a Evernote business consultant last September. So what this note is is just going ahead and creating a few references to some key items that really begin to map out this territory. Now, when we go ahead and switch to the weekly view, you will see this in a lot more detail, and it's a lot more in alignment with what's covered in 7 Habits. So, on that note, why don't we just go ahead and jump into the weekly? So, what they do in the 7 Habits is they design a compass at the beginning of every week. It's typically on Sunday evening, and you pretty much lay out your week. You pretty much take your 7 roles, which might not be static. It might be dynamic from week to week. It could be business roles. It could be roles in your family, like a father or a community leader. Whatever works for you. You have to choose 7 hats that work for you. And the idea here, and I could see a visual coming up here pretty soon, so bear with me here. You would have some key outcomes. If you're a father, you would have perhaps a family dinner or a movie night. That's really important to the fulfillment of being a father that week. It's something that your son's been wanting you to do for a long time. So that's the essence of what this page is. I went ahead and put the work week number here, just so you can see this moving along. This happens to be a snapshot of work week 10, which is a few weeks ago. I go ahead and list some strategic outcomes. I'm working on building a personal council. I go ahead and update this status. It's almost like a Facebook status, but it's done weekly. And it's a reflection on last week and where my focus is in this week. And many times I'll put how I'll be communicating this week. One of the things that I'm noticing that to ground myself and to stay focused on what's in this weekly, I sometimes need to step out of different spaces, and I need to communicate that I'm best available, through office hours or something like that. Now, this next part is a work in progress. I needed a more kind of an outline view of my roles, and a drill down, kind of a holistic, kind of one-page view. So I'm experimenting with simply listing each of these roles, numbering them from 1 to 7, and to put key projects. The other page was a little bit more of like kind of reference materials or things on the web. This actually indexes to, for example, a project writing a one-page proposal for healthcare, for example. Or an example would be as a business certified consultant, I'm creating a portfolio website. If you're interested in that, let me know. The intention here and have an index to my projects. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do that? So this is my Evernote system. This is not the latest release, mind you. This is the 5.5.2 release. And I have these shortcuts that are what I'm going to go through during this demo. And if I went ahead and clicked on the weekly shortcut, it would get me to this Compass notebook, which basically contains the notes that you saw on that website, which by the way, was created through Pistachio, a plugin or a third-party integration to go ahead and make your notes public. It's technically a blogging platform, but I'm using it in a very kind of creative way as the business development engineer that I am. So this is more recent. This is work week 15. As you can see, it has the same structure with strategic outcomes, and this has a more elongated status. Last week was pretty intense, and going into this week, but I still have the same list of roles. And let's see. So, for example, let's go ahead and click through this project, a Well-Being 5 Elements online course. Because these are note links, they internally reference to notes that are inside my system. And so this happens to be a project note. We're in the project notebook right now. And it actually details what this outcome is in the spirit of getting things done. you should, I think the natural planning method, go ahead and flesh this project out sufficiently to get it going, and the outcome should be very clear, and ideally it has a date. This project actually doesn't have a due date yet. It's still very much in kind of inception and brainstorm mode, and so yeah, I will go ahead and put important details, inside, for this project. Let's go ahead and go back to the weekly view. And let's go ahead and choose a project that has maybe a firm due date. I've used a reminder. There's a reminder for today. I'm to follow up on actually receiving the input on what people want out of this session. And so you could see that that's a very easy way to set up due dates. And the net result is when you do that, when you're in your project's notebook and you open up this reminders view, provided you actually have sorted your reminders by date, what you have is pretty much a tickler here. And so you see all the projects beginning from today, going all the way into the future. Project Earth is on 2020. So it's a very easy way, alternative to your calendar. And perhaps in a separate demo, I can actually show how Sunrise is able to put your Evernote project reminders, in your calendar. And so you can have the best of both worlds here. And so that's pretty much how our projects are handled. I would call this a very lightweight GTD implementation. I don't make heavy use of context. I have a history of using an implementation like OmniFocus, and where I went ahead and put that into a lot of detail. One of the reasons why I am organizing my entire life inside Evernote is to really get away from the very structured, detailed implementation. One of the benefits of Evernote is that it has its history in being a note taker, and it's moving out of that paradigm and working and moving towards a workspace. And in a workspace, you just want to be able to track just the right amount of detail, to keep you going. So this whole Compass implementation allows you to track details at a very high level, and I track enough detail at the project level to keep things moving. But I'm not interested in actually detailing a lot of the action items that are involved. Now, some projects, like Gallup in Thailand, for example, you might have more. You can make use of these if you to-do items to go ahead and check them off as you go along. Now, because this works very much like almost like a Word document or a Google Doc. You can arbitrarily, add references, more detail, insert action items. It's very malleable. It's like I like to say it's a little bit more on the canvas side of things. It's like what an artist would use, because it is able to kind of ebb and flow, with how you organize the project. And that I find personally a lot more restrictive in a kind of a more formalized project management system, which, mind you, might be necessary if you're working on a large team or a large project where accountability is key and balls can't be dropped. This method would be ideal for really the individual or a very small team to go ahead and coordinate actions around. So I think that's all I really want to share in regards to this implementation. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and skip agendas and review for now. I don't think it's as... you know what? I'll go ahead and cover it because these are two contexts that I do track. Because it's really important to me, to go ahead and track agendas that I have running with people, and I also go ahead and track items um, awaiting review. It's very easy in a very digital world to not have the stack of books or reading material that you might have in the physical world. So you need some kind of analog to that. So when you have the time and energy to review things, it could be clipped articles, or it could be a PDF that was sent to you as a result of signing up for a mailing list, for example. And so I think that's it. So uh, if you have any questions, please go ahead and comment below. I hope this showed a little bit more. If this type of implementation sounds useful, or you even want to use parts of it, please contact me. And I look forward to hearing from you. All right, thank you very much.